Good morning, Raptor Freaks. Lexi Odds here, and it's Wednesday, and I'm doing a Wow Wednesday because I saw some footage yesterday that really blew me away, and I loved the caption. And it was on Twitter, and it was on Serge Ibaka's account. It's basically him in a gym with his shirt off, shooting a bunch of threes, and he's just bombing them, bombing them. Now we remember Serge used to be able to hit threes for us right near the top of the key. He was kind of money, like right around the top of the key when he played for the Raptors back then. Well, I don't know if this court is shorter, but he's shooting them from almost half court on this court. It could very well be that this is a shortened court and this is an optical illusion, but it looks kind of like Serge has extended his range. Now, I think that's kind of interesting to me, actually. The caption, what he's saying is very telling also. It says, "A winner is just a loser who tried one more time." And that's good advice, honestly. And, that says a lot also about where he is with his playing career and what he's feeling like, what he wants to do right now is that he still wants to play, is what it sounds like. And, if he's working on his distance, that's something we could use. We need more good outside shooting. So, Serge, I am all about bringing Serge back, if not just for the leadership, just for the locker room, just for kind of an enforcer, kind of person around. I don't know. There's a lot of good things about Serge that I think would be good for our team if we did bring him back. Of course, he's a champion. He's on that picture behind me, and we lost a lot of those heads on that picture at this point. If we can have one of them come back, that might be really good, honestly. So I'm all about bringing Serge back to the Raptors in some form. Fiercey's here first. Good morning to Fiercey Salsera, Scotty Barnes, Twitch family 2022 summer. Yes, we love Scotty and we love you, Fiercey. Happy to see you this morning. Good morning, family. Raining in Ottawa, but it won't dampen my mood. The same way we gave Wancho a year deal, Mafuzi man could have the same. Why not? I feel he'll be more productive. If not anything, like I said, behind the scenes, he could be super valuable for good vibes, good feelings, maybe regulating BS behind the scenes as far as like, these players are not getting along exactly right. Serge says, "Hey guys, we don't do this. I've been in the NBA a long time. And when I see people acting like this between two teammates, this is no good. So figure this out right now and get it cleared up." It could be that kind of stuff. That kind of stuff could be super valuable with Serge Ibaka. He's a veteran, and a veteran means he knows a lot about being in the NBA for a long, long time. And that is valuable to our team. I really do think it is valuable. Yeah, Wancho was on a weird non-guarantee contract, and then we got rid of him. And now, who knows? Who knows? I think that him being around Toronto so much recently, like Serge is doing his How Hungry Are You show here in Toronto. I feel like he is because he did a show with Alex Manoah of the Blue Jays, and he's got a connection to the city still, and it's really really interesting how he does. I watched some of his old How Hungry Are You episodes from this past season. He did an episode with Giannis, and he straight up talked to Giannis about how we beat them in the playoffs in 2019. And he was making Giannis feel bad. In fact, Giannis had to remind him in that interview, "Hey, you play for the Bucks right now. You don't play for the Raptors," because Serge was kind of laying into him about how we beat them after them beating us 2 games in a row and then us beating them 4 straight in that series. It was kind of funny to see Giannis get mad at him for talking about it, and they were currently teammates at the time. Well, you know what's kind of weird? Serge was let go by the Bucks like not too long after that, so maybe he shouldn't have been poking the bear with Giannis about that series because he might have had to leave Milwaukee partly because of that. Uh, I'd love to see Serge come back here. Those interviews were fun. I saw the one with Drew Holiday. I watched the more recent one with Fred, the more recent one with DeMar, and then one from 2 years ago with Pascal. I was just watching a couple of more recent Mafuzi Chef, How Hungry Are You episodes, and it made me realize just how much, in some ways, Serge really does love Toronto. And he belongs here. He belongs in the city. Fiercely saying also, no shade, just have this feeling. But knowing he didn't see eye to eye with Coach Bud, he may wait and see who the new coach is before committing. Come back with a Surge. Enough with the teasing. Yeah, Fiercey's all about him coming back too. That may be true also. The whole thing with Coach Bud, what's really weird about Coach Bud right now is I'm hearing all these coaching searches and their finalist lists, and he's not on any of them. That's really, really weird and telling to me. We've heard a finalist list for Milwaukee and Phoenix now. Phoenix having their final 3 or 4 last night. They finally announced their final 4. They had a final 5, but they've cut one of them out already by this morning. Their final 4 for the job for the Phoenix Suns is Nick Nurse. Nick Nurse is like number one on everybody on the lists right now. Philadelphia, Milwaukee, and Phoenix have Nick Nurse in their top candidates. All 3 of those teams. And now the other 3 candidates that Phoenix is really looking at right now is Doc Rivers, Nick Nurse, Jordy Fernandez, and Kevin Young. They had Frank Vogel on that list last night, but he is mysteriously not on this list this morning. So I guess he's out of the running. So Suns are looking at Nick Nurse, Doc Rivers, Kevin Young, their own assistant, who was under Monty Williams, and Sacramento assistant, associate head coach Jordy Fernandez. Now the Bucks list is 3 people, and it's very short. It's Nick Nurse, Kenny Atkinson, and Adrian Griffin. So very interesting that Nick is showing up on everybody's list. In fact, I know he's on the Philly list too. I know he's on the Philly list. He has been confirmed that he interviewed there this week also. So yeah, I think that it's very weird that Budenholzer is not being mentioned anywhere. Seriously, I haven't heard him talked about in Phoenix. I haven't heard him talked about with us. I haven't heard him talked about with Philadelphia yet either. So there's something weird about Coach Bud. The reason why I don't know what's going on, why his name is not getting thrown around in this whole thing. Who knows? Isaac Campbell's here saying Ottawa represents, search for PM, Minister of I Do Art. That's right, Isaac. I made sure you got your dunk for the other day. I added it to the list when I got home. Yeah, Ottawa is strong in the house today with Fiercey and Isaac. The Ottawa contingency is holding it down on the Raptor Freak channel this morning. Good morning to Ottawa, the nation's capital, baby. I do art. Yes, MSJ saying, I think the surge idea is a good one, even as a vet who can keep the mood up. Yeah, seriously. In some ways, that's what we need. If things get too serious and people are a little bit on walking on eggshells and things are a little bit too, he can break that ice. Trust me. He can break that ice with a funny joke or just being say, why are you all so serious? And then maybe smacks OG in the head or something like that. And everybody laughs. We know that he has great, strong bonds with OG Anunoby and Pascal Siakam and Fred VanVleet. And, that stuff can be reacquired and reacquainted and be really great all of a sudden, real fast. He doesn't have to play a whole lot. If he plays some, that's great. In fact, I think he can probably still play to a degree, but he doesn't have to play a whole lot. He can just be a presence. He wants to collect an NBA check and be on a team. Well, get it done, Masai and Bobby. I really do want to see Serge back in a Raptor red jersey next year. I don't care if he's on his last legs in his career. The benefits of him being around on a roster could be very, 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 very important considering how bad our chemistry was last year. In fact, Serge Ibaka may be one of the biggest steps we could take this summer to fixing our damn locker room. Seriously. Let's see. Cowboy is here. Good to see Canadian Cowboy Bradley. What's up? Dapping the cowboy. He's a cowboy on a steel horse he rides. That's right. Good morning, Lex, and good morning, the Rabbit Freaks. I wouldn't be mad at all if we got Serge to help off the bench. Also, gotta go, everyone. Have a blessed day. Later, Raptor Freaks. Let's go. You go, Bradley. Tada is where he is going. He is working for Tada today, helping people around the greater Toronto area with all kinds of odd jobs. If you have something you need done around your house, like your gutters clean, maybe you have some windows you need washing, maybe you need a carpet clean, you call Tada. They're in the phone book. They can come and help you with any odd job around your house. They'll come with a smile. It may even be Bradley who comes to your house. So say, hey, Bradley, and be so proud and happy to see him. That's right. Tada. They can help you. All right, let's see. Cool Cat is here in the house. Also, good to see Cool Cat. Good morning, Raptor Free crew. I keep saying it. It would be nice for Serge to come home. Would be a good vet for our young players. Yes, and yes. He might already be here. Seriously, I have a feeling he's lurking around Toronto this summer, or at least coming back and forth or hanging around here a little bit. I think he really does like filming his "How Hungry Are You" here. I think he really does like the feeling that he gets. I was watching that episode with Demar, the last one, and Demar was asked by Serge, who has the better fans, Canada or the US, as far as like going to games? And Demar got really emotional for a second. He said, in Canada, the way I felt when I played for the Raptors and how the love they showed me and just how much like they got up for our games during those playoff runs in the 2010s. You can't match that. So he said the Canadian fans were more passionate and better. That's DeMar. And I could tell Serge was kind of like, yeah, vibing with that. He's like, I feel you on that. He didn't outright say it himself, but he knows from going to that WNBA game and the reception he got from sitting at the front row with his daughter, that he knows he is well loved here in the city. He's very popular, and that in some ways he's got the keys to the city, just like a guy like Scotty Barnes does. Everybody loves Serge Ibaka, an NBA champion with the Toronto Raptors, and that's another thing. This is the team we won a championship with, so there's a lot of good affinity both ways. So come on, it just seems natural, Messiah and Bobby. Figure out a way to get Serge into the fold somehow, some way. I don't care what his title is. If he wants to play, let him play. If he doesn't want to play and you just want to make him some sort of special consultant like Tim Duncan is for the San Antonio Spurs, please do that. Please do that, because we could just having him come around. If he doesn't want to do the travel with the team, just have him around the team in some sort of position, and it will be very good for our culture. Trust me, it will be very good for our culture. We need Serge around. Let's do it. Mike is saying, salute the real ones, Project Truth always. I don't know about Ibaka. His defense fell off a lot, even during his final years. I don't know. Well, I'm not trying to get him for his defense. I'm not trying to get him for like being stellar play. I'm getting him for insurance at the end of the bench and just for culture. It really is for the behind the scenes stuff. It's like, seriously, Mike, think about it. If Serge had been on this team this year, maybe things had been more smoother or figured out sooner, because he's the kind of guy that gets to it. And he's like, no, 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 we're not doing this. And maybe he puts an end to it. In some ways, our leadership on this team was a little weird. It's like Fred and Pascal are supposed to be the leaders, but in some ways, they're not totally the right kind of leaders for what our team needs. And then Thaddeus, he's the older guy, but he doesn't really have the clout to throw things around. But Serge would, even if he isn't playing at a high level anymore. There's a body of work. He's a champion. He's a lot of different things that everybody has to respect on that team and listen to. I'm just saying, an edge or somebody who really like. I love the stories about Serge during the playoff run where we won the championship. The stuff that he would say and how he was like very much like a big part of the leadership vocally behind the scenes to help them push to get the title. So it's that kind of stuff I really like, Mike. And like I said, the toughness and just being a pro, the way he's been a pro his life, he's really good about nutrition and he's really, really good about working out. And some of the young Raptors may need his influence. Seriously, we saw how Scotty ate on Twitch last summer. Maybe Serge needs to come in and teach him some new nutrition tips. That's what I'm saying, y'all. There's a wealth of knowledge that needs to be passed down. And if teams need more vet presence, Serge Ibaka is a perfect fit for the Raptors for sure. Mike's also saying without paint intimidation, Serge is attacked a lot, and his lateral speed is poor now. He's less mobile now. Leadership wise, he's great, but skill wise, he's aged out more or less. Well, Mike, once again, I'm not worried about all that. That is, he has not played that much on any of the teams recently. I don't care about that. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about he needs to do the other stuff. Now, if he's shooting threes like this and he's showing a dedication, listen, I said Zach Edey was slow, but I saw his combine video, and that man did not look slow in what he was doing in that combine video as far as running back and forth towards the hoop and putting balls through the hoop and dunking and taking shots and stuff like that. In fact, Zach Edey looked amazing in his combine video that Monique shared on Facebook yesterday. And I'm saying, Zach Edey can move around like that. I'm like, okay, he can play in the NBA. If he wants to move that quick and he has that gumption, he's going to get up and down the court. And he didn't look big and slow and lumbering. He looked like a very quick big man in that video that I saw. Serge doesn't have to be super quick, but maybe he has something to prove. Like, seriously, the video saying that he's not giving up and he wants to still play says a lot. He says, you win when you try just one more time than everybody else, and then you finally win. And that's what he's saying. He's not giving up on his career. He wants to try and play still. And we may be shocked. Milwaukee and other teams may not have played him more recently, partly because they had better options, but he may still be pretty good. Excuse me. Sorry. There's something in my throat. I mean, I don't know. I'm not counting on him to be in the rotation, Mike. I'm counting on him to be a third center behind Pirtle and Koloko. And think about that. Think about him working with Koloko. That's a great person for Koloko to learn from. In fact, they have a lot of similarities physically in some ways. So, I want to see Koloko learn from the great Ibaka. That would be fantastic. That'd be awesome. Monique saying, "Good morning, everyone. Delano season video on Instagram." Yes. All right. Monique is giving me the segue to go towards the Instagram check with the Raptors players on Instagram. Delano Banton celebrating his second year in the NBA with a year-end recap kind of video. These players have been doing these recently. We saw Koloko's recently. We've seen Siakam's. We've seen Fred's. But yeah, Delano's is out right now, and he's getting put on blast by his teammates also. Christian Koloko is saying the level is too advanced in posting Dubber Don's cool year 2 post. And then we got Slim Duck put him on blast with my dog. So proud of Delano. I know that there's a special bond there. You see the friendships when they're posting their stuff. And then, of course, he posted himself, Delano Banton. He's basically getting off a plane. He's coming in. He's wearing his hats. He keeps raising his hat. He's walking in the arena, dapping Alvin Williams. He's in an interview with Savannah Hamilton. Yeah, very cool stuff. All right, Fred Van Vliet, El Capitan, is putting on Fred Jr. on blast for his 4th birthday. It looks like a Mario Brothers themed birthday party. And Fred Jr. is so funny with his pose. He's got the 4 horsemen. He's like, yeah. But it says Super Fred, like he's Super Mario Brothers. And it's cool. It's got like Super Fred Mario Brothers cake with Luigi and Mario and mushrooms on it. Very cool. And there's his sister, his older sister, Fred looking dapper in his white little outfit there at his birthday party. I love the whole Mario Brothers theme. It's really cool. And he got his face painted and some time with his dad. Really, really good stuff. And then there's a picture at the end of it of Fred with Layla, which is so cute. There's a picture of Fred holding Layla in these pictures. Fred Van Vliet with some really cute birthday pictures from Fred Jr.'s birthday party this weekend. Fantastic. And we got Precious looking out a window at some crops somewhere. I don't know if he's still over in this continent or if he's somewhere else. I have no idea where Precious Achua is right now, but he is showing something himself at a window, looking out the window, and there's a huge barrel behind him. Or maybe he's at the vineyard. I'll bet you he is. He's been all about the wine recently. I'll bet you he's at some vineyard somewhere. And then Thad Young still putting on blast his kids. Thad Jr. playing in lots of stuff. And then also, there's camps. And Thad is coaching right now. He is in coach mode this summer with his kids right now. Siakam with a new post out of him playing video games. And he's wearing the cool bags or whatever, the bags that you put on your legs to rejuvenate your muscles. He's wearing them. He's sitting there. He's just playing video games, and he's got his shoe collection behind him. It's pretty cool pictures of Siakam. He's had some really good content coming out this week. And then the Raptors official account is saying that Scotty was the winner of drip season last week. He won both contests. They're doing contests on Tuesday and Thursday, and Scotty was in both matchups, and he won both the matchups last week. So Scott is winning drip season right now on the Raptors official account. So there is our Instagram check with the Raptors. What's going on with them? Fred Jr. having his birthday party. Dubber Don celebrating year 2 in the league, baby. Yeah, there you go. Thank you, Monique, for giving me that start off right there. Yeah, Infamous is here. Good to see Infamous. Good morning, freaks. I think Serge is a great player, but we need to let it go. There's a reason no team has picked him up. I would say that too, but man, Infamous, if you saw the footage of Serge from yesterday bombing those threes, I'm like, wait, that's a little bit further out than where he used to shoot. And he's telling us that's what that caption means. He's like, the quitters are quitters. You try one more time, you're a winner. And he's trying one more time. He still wants to be in the league. And I think we should give him a flyer. Listen, I don't care if he's like this little bit out. The tangibles and intangibles of him as a leader and the other things he could do for our culture and our team are like Udonis Haslam kind of stuff. And that's what he's saying. You can look at Udonis Haslam and say this man shouldn't be playing in the league like 3 years ago, but it didn't matter because he's a culture figure. He's a person that helps with the team chemistry and things like that. And in some ways, you look at where Miami is right now with somebody like Udonis Haslam as a root system to keep that culture strong and intact underlying. And you look at where Boston Celtics are right now. I've heard some crazy things about the Celtics in the last couple of days. Like they've given up on each other. They're tired of being fake friends, that they really do hate each other, and they're sick of putting up the false front that they do. And some of them were even saying, just beat us, Miami. We just want to be swept and have the season over. But that didn't happen last night. It's almost like Kyle Lowry and Jimmy Butler played like trash to torture the Boston Celtics a little bit further. They didn't care that they lost last night. Trust me. Jimmy was smiling and laughing at the end of the game because he knows they're still going to beat them in this series. It's just he wants to prolong their misery, I guess, because it really did seem like the Celtics are like apart now. Malcolm Brogdon saying that the chemistry has just gone out the window. In fact, some of the things that are going on with the Boston Celtics right now may be very similar to what's happened with the Raptors near the end of the season. They've all given up on their coach. They're not getting along, and they're just trying to stay together. Yeah, that sounds a lot familiar with a lot of teams in this league right now. And the Raptors went through this. Well, the Celtics happen to be going through this in the conference finals. That's not good. That's really, really not good. I know that they have no confidence in Coach Joe. They're just going through the motions and they're waiting for Miami to snuff them out. Now, Barkley and the TNT crew are already predicting that Boston will win the next game in Boston in game 5 because they have home court. They have kind of a little bit of momentum right now, but I don't totally believe that. They were able to lose 2 games already in this series in Boston. Why wouldn't they lose this one also? It could very well be that Jimmy is mean and he wants to come back to Boston to defeat them in front of their own crowd. I don't know. I was surprised to see Boston win last night, but I don't think Miami was trying that hard to come back and beat them. And that, in some ways, the Miami Heat were controlling the whole game, and Boston just rose up at the end and won it. So it's very interesting. It's very, very interesting what's happening in the playoffs. No game tonight, obviously, because the other series is over. But the game 5 tomorrow in Boston, Miami at Boston. Boston staying alive last night. Very surprised by that. I thought that those guys were ready to quit and just go on into their summer. Because the writing's on the wall that this team's going to get broken up with the Celtics. They're going to probably fire their coach, and we're going to have to see what happens with Jaylen Brown. This could be very, very interesting. Yeah, Serge is really just a culture guy. It's like, listen, I don't care. Maybe he doesn't have to be a player. He doesn't have to take a roster position. Maybe he is some sort of like a special team coach or personnel on the staff in some sort of way. I described it earlier. Like, what if he's like Tim Duncan for the Raptors? Instead of the Spurs. He comes in, he comes to practices, he kind of mentors and talks to the young guys and just kind of gives them tips on how to be a better pro and play better in different ways. I don't know. I want Serge involved with the Raptors somehow, some way, officially, not just like some BS. Give him a job, Masai. Seriously. Let's see. Tom saying, Isaac, Serge has my vote. He wouldn't see the court long. He is not our answer, but would be a great bench piece. Masai will do better than Serge to get us sorted. I just feel like we need better like chemistry and culture and good vibes. And Serge is that kind of guy. He may have other issues like holding up everybody on the team bus because he's moisturizing or something like that. But that stuff we can get around and not have to worry about at this point. We can just kind of work with him and how it works with him. That's what I'm saying. Let's not put any pressure. If he wants to play, put him on the roster, but don't wait on the team bus for him. But if he it seems like he wants to play still. And I think that it's not a big deal to give him like a 14th or 13th spot on our roster. Seriously. It's not a big deal to have him somewhere down there slotted in like that. If he's like our Thad Young for this year, that's not a big deal, y'all. Seriously. If he's like Thad Young this year coming up in that spot on our roster, that is actually pretty good. In some ways, I say that's an upgrade. Seriously, I say that's an upgrade in some ways. Let's see. G saying Serge is great for the locker room vibes. Can play spot up duties. Can provide a little bit of that edge. That's right. He can teach and mentor these kids and tell them, don't be a punk. Don't let Caleb Martin ride your back. Christian Coloco, just like Chris Boucher told him. It's like, but Serge can come in and double down on that. And he can also fight people too. If we need somebody to fight someone, Serge is all about that. We know that. He's kind of a scary guy to other teams. So in some ways, he's good to have around for that reason. Also, you better respect our team because Serge Ibaka's on it. There's a bit of that also built in with Serge's character. Nameless is saying it's amazing how other fan bases are reluctant to give us any credit and belittle our achievement in pieces, then proceed to thirst every single person in the organization. Clown. Yes, Nameless. Yes. Yes, and yes. We see Nick Nurse is probably the belle of the ball in this coach search right now. He seems like he's the most sought after candidate that's free out there right now. Yeah, I expected this. I really did expect this. What I didn't expect is all these teams throwing their coach aside to possibly get in the Nick Nurse sweepstakes. This is very interesting. I really do truly believe that the Raptors started this coaching firing trend when we fired Nick Nurse. Once they saw that he was free and out there, they're like, is he better than Nick Nurse, our guy right now? Let's just fire him. Let's try and get Nick. There may be a lot of that kind of thinking that went into like Budenholzer and Monty and Doc, the firings of those guys. So yeah, it's true. This is just how it is. Like, this is really toxic, like, behavior. If you're in a relationship and people treat you kind of like the NBA treats the Raptors, get out of that relationship. It's an abusive relationship. Let's just put it that way. They tell you that you're not very good, you suck. And then when when you get free or your stuff gets free, then they take it and they're like, oh, it's so good. I'm so happy I have it. It's what Nameless is talking about here. It's so true. So true. All right, let's keep going with the comments. So happy to see so many people here today on Wednesday. Isaac saying, Tom, 100%, 15 to 19 minutes backing up Pirtle is a solid bench piece. Put that band back together. Bring the hits. Listen, I don't even want him to play that much. I'm serious. Put him in the third team. Coloco should be the guy who's getting those minutes you're describing there, Isaac Campbell. And if Coloco can't do it, we just have insurance backup with Ibaka. And Ibaka, he could be like a bench, cleanup. Like, I don't expect him to play a lot. He could be very good in practice. If he does have some sort of stretch where he's feeling really youthful and he's really looking really good, then you do increase his time and put him in the rotation. But otherwise, just let him be a culture leader on traveling with the team and just, being around. Him being around Toronto is really good. And Masai, just talk to him. Seriously. Just talk to him. Mike's saying in a Haslam role like in Miami, okay. But I don't know if Masai does that. He could have a young prospect for the same money and have an upside. That's why Vince was never signed during his final years. Yeah, and that was always cloudy. That whole Vince like coming back to return right at the end and stuff like that. I don't totally believe this. I think that if anything, Masai has learned. He's going to need more eyes on the team, and if he trusts Ibaka, and Ibaka and him have a relationship, he could be a mole. He could be somebody on the inside, kind of babysitting and helping Masai on the inside to say, yeah, well, these are the problems here. This was this problem with Bjorngren, and then boom with this, and that kind of stuff. I think that we may be pleasantly, you may be wrong in this one, Mike. I mean, seriously, I think that people are starting to realize the value of veteran presence on teams from this past year. That we've seen the dumpster fire that the Memphis Grizzlies have been with John Morant. We've seen that, like, in some ways, veteran presence on teams is much more necessary than we realize. And that everybody going like, oh, we need that spot to be open for a young person or something like that. Screw that kind of mentality. I think that that's hurting the NBA and the quality of the product. And this is exactly the kind of move the Raptors need to make to buck the trend and to try and fight getting more vet presence and smartness on our team as far as leadership. Because that's something we kind of lacked last year. We lacked good leadership on our team. And I hate to say it. In some ways, Siakam is a leader on the court just in play and how he does things. But we need more vocal leaders. And Fred, in some ways, got tuned out or something. I don't know. He just wasn't good enough vocal leader for the team in some ways. well, Serge may be able to do this, even if he's not one of the main players on the team. That's what I'm talking about. Don't underestimate what Masai might do. Seriously, if they're gonna have somebody like Thad Young on our team, they could definitely have a younger Ibaka on our team. He's younger than Thad Young, so I don't get this. I know that he hasn't looked good because he got injured a lot in the Clippers, and he just hasn't played a whole lot. But I don't care. I don't care if he plays at all. I just want him around for presence. I really do. Fiercely saying, was browsing NBA Celebro picks final Lakers game, saw Trey Young. What's interesting is that his whole IG has no affiliation with the Hawks, none. At least Fred VanVleet's profile still shows him in his jersey. Yeah, that's weird to me because he's under contract. He's really under contract with them. Like he's tied up with them on big money, and that contract's really hard to move. But it's very evident he does not want to be in Atlanta. He would like to be a Laker, it looks like, showing up at that Laker game and palling around with everybody there and smiling real big. That's the weird thing about players showing up to games after they're done for the season. We've seen Dame Lillard and DeMar DeRozan showing up at different games this playoff season. Now Trey Young, who, is in some ways very much anchored in Atlanta, is showing that he may not want to be in Atlanta. And there is a lot of talk from Lakers side saying they'd like to make some moves. Two of the guys that may want to be Lakers next season were at the game, Kyrie and Trey Young. Now, Brian Winders is saying that he thinks that Kyrie Irving is using the Lakers to leverage a higher price tag with the Mavericks, and he actually does want to stay in Dallas. But he's using the Lakers to pump up his value and try and get a bigger number from Mark Cuban. So very interesting stuff. I don't know what this stuff with Trey Young going to Lakers stuff. That's kind of crazy pie in the sky kind of stuff. The money just doesn't work. They'd have to trade like Anthony Davis to Atlanta to probably make that work. And I don't know if they want to do that. That's the big dude on their roster. But they would have to do something like that probably to get Trey Young. I don't know. The Lakers are going to be a mess no matter what. Pelinka's already saying he wants to keep this core together, and then Kuzma's laughing at him, saying on Twitter, saying, "Yeah, I've heard that one before." Yeah, I fully expect Rui Hachimura and Austin Reeves to walk and be in a different uniform next year because the Lakers front office is inept, and they won't keep those guys together. Trust me. They will go for the big, ugly, names like Kyrie and Trey Young and ignore Hashimura and Reeves and let them walk. Watch. They will. That's how they do things there. They're idiots. But yeah, that's really interesting that Trey Young was at the Laker game for sure. Leslie saying, good morning, Raptor Freaks. I think Serge was happiest in Toronto. Serge misses the food, fans, and fashion at Holt Renfrew. Yeah, I think that's true, Leslie. And good morning to you. Yeah, I think that he was happiest here. I mean, why not? He won a championship here. He's had a very long, illustrious career in many different places: Orlando, Oklahoma City, Milwaukee, the Clippers. But those years in Toronto are the special ones. In some ways, he's such an international kind of like man of the world, and he really kind of fits with the Toronto. If like Serge Ibaka was a city, he may be Toronto, is what I'm saying. It's just that he's got that international feel like we do. And he's very much like, it seems like Toronto is a natural habitat for him because we have so much culture and international identity here. I mean, sure, you could say maybe New York, but no, I think it's Canada. I think it's Toronto. He's going to have fun over in Europe and Spain and Italy and London. But in North America, it's Toronto. That's what I'm saying. Shir Khan's here. Good morning, Raptor Freak family. That surge to Milwaukee was a meh move. Wasn't even used a lot last season. Bobby and Jay were taking away most of the minutes. Only problem is that if we give him a spot, it takes away from other prospects. Yeah, I mean, I don't care. Like, seriously, if that is not on our team, let him just have that spot. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I know you guys are worried about young people getting these spots, but I don't want that. I don't really care about young players anymore. I feel like we have to go with like players that are maybe just a little bit developed and get them from other people and not like just like depend on rookies and starting them from scratch at the very beginning. We've got Koloko and Scotty, and those are our projects. We'll get a draft pick at 13 this summer. But I don't want a whole bunch of young people like the Oklahoma City Thunder. I want just our young guys that we designate And then boom, we fill in the roster with vets. I don't want a bunch of young idiots now. I want good, solid vets that are more proven in the league and ones that can shoot. Those are the kind of people I want coming to this team. I don't want young green guys that aren't proven. I want guys that make shots in the NBA and have been doing it for years. So I'm not about like opening up things to or like trading to get more draft picks or any of that. I want to limit how many young people we're working on at once and really try and get young developing guys coming in like at a good place. Like maybe we target people that are kind of like projects on other teams that haven't really been like utilized right. We've done this in the past and they come here and boom, we unlock them a little bit further, like Gary Trent Jr. That's what I'm saying. It's like the way we got Gary Trent Jr. and where he was in his career. I want more players around that area of their career. Is like they're a couple years in, but they're kind of lost or listless in the place that they're at. We give them more purpose. We increase their value and make them look better, just like Gary. Those are guys I'm more interested in. I don't want to start from scratch. I'm not interested in these young draft picks anymore because a lot of the draft picks, if your name's not Victor, I'm not impressed with y'all. Seriously. Victor Wembanyama is, yeah, he's amazing. But a lot of these young guys, you know what? I have less trust in young players coming in because of issues with being knuckleheads, not being fundamentally good. A lot of them are just idiots. You know, I don't care about young players anymore. I want proven guys. I don't want to have them prove them coming in. I want to get guys that have been proven already a couple years in the league and get them over here. That's how I look at it at this point. I'm sick of these knuckleheads and not knowing who they are. I want to know who you are and know that you're good before you come to my team. Yeah, Isaac's saying scarves for everyone. Giveaway on game day. Yes, we can bring back the whole scarves thing. If any reason to bring back Serge Ibaka, it's scarves, y'all. Come on. Mike's saying Serge is harder on guys. I've seen him give the tough love. I can agree. We need his leadership. Yeah, he'd be huge on this. It's not even like the coach part. He'd just be a good, like strong, like accountable kind of guy. Like he's been in the league for so long, he really knows what it takes to be a proper pro. And if guys are kind of not doing culture or being in the culture of being a good pro, he can kind of get them back in line, is what I'm saying. You know, that could have been very valuable last season. Seriously. Nameless is saying other fan bases, your championship was in vain and didn't count. Same fan base proceeds to pursue every single person in the organization. I know. It's so dumb. And listen, our championship was badass. And in some ways, it was really, really impressive. And they just don't understand. And they can just be haters. That's the way they're going to be. Sue saying, good morning, everyone. Love Surge. I miss him. Sue, play it again, Sue. Check out Sue's music reaction channel on YouTube. It's fantastic. Play it again, Sue. Reacting to old greats, all the old great songs and stuff. Definitely check it out. Yeah, I miss him too, and that's why I want him back. That's why I'm lobbying for it today. Leslie saying at Isaac Campbell in Canada, we all need a scarf. That's right. It's a public service announcement. Wear a scarf. Save your throat. Save your so you won't get sick. If you just wear a little scarf or ascot, sometimes you can really protect yourself from getting sick. People don't understand that. And Isaac's saying W at Leslie. Yes. Race Mode Daily's here. Good morning to Race Mode. Good morning, freak. Serge Ibaka is our Udonis Haslam. That's what I'm saying. Let's do this, Messiah. Get better leadership on the bench with Ibaka around. You know, I like Ibaka to be around and just kind of being that leader. I just think it's a good idea. Monique saying, congratulations, Chuck. I'm still smiling about the CEBL announcement. Okay, Monique is bringing up something we found out yesterday. The CEBL will be broadcast on TSN this summer. The Canadian Elite Basketball League. And of course, we have the Scarborough Shooting Stars. And the announcing crew was announced. And Chuck Swirsky is going to be announcing for the CBL this summer. So we will hear that familiar call from our old great Raptors announcer, Chuck Swirsky, working with the CBL this summer. And also Amy Audibert is coming back to work with them also as a sideline reporter and analyst. There's other people on the list like Paul Jones and other great people around basketball in Canada that will be calling the games and being a part of the broadcast for CBL. But having Chuck Swirsky and Amy Audibert involved. Fantastic homecomings from great cover people who covered the Raptors are now moved on to the Bulls and the Heat. Well, they're going to be a part of the CBL in the summer, and that's fantastic. I love to hear Swirsky back on this side of the border calling basketball in games. Yeah, Chuck Swirsky, baby. That's right. It's so awesome, Monique. I love that announcement yesterday. It was so good. Mike saying, I love Ibaka. I have his jersey on my wall. I welcome him to be a part of this team anytime he wants. And he went to battle for us and sacrificed for the team to win the chip. Nothing can change that for me. There you go. That's the right attitude, Mike. I get it. Some of y'all are worried. Well, listen, the other thing is we got to remember next season, there's 3 two-ways. So there's going to be an extra roster spot. So that we're going to have 18 players on our roster next year. So there's things that are expanding, and there may be room for Ibaka, and it's not a big deal. It's really not a big deal. Yeah, he's just family. Listen, it's just really good for our culture. Once again, we need champions around our team. And if Fred is leaving this summer, the only person on that picture other than the Raptors, the Raptor and Drake with the Larry O'Brien that'll be left will be Siakam. And I don't like that totally. So let's get Serge back so that 2 of the heads, along with Drake and the Raptor, are still on the team because Nick's gone now. That he's gone off there. And if Fred is going to be leaving this summer, like we think he might be, well, we may need to add one of those heads back. And that's Serge Ibaka in the top center with the Band-Aid on his forehead. Yeah, I like that. I like the idea of him coming back. It's just a weird thing. It's like, listen, the other thing is he's motivated. He may be really like working his ass off. He's seen that he's on the fringe of being out of the league and having to go like Carmelo did this week, but he doesn't want to. And that's why I'm saying that's a very important caption. What it says, a winner is just a loser who tried one more time. That sounds like he's trying to continue to play and be a good player next year. MSJ saying, anyone think Boston has any chance at all? I can't say I do, but I do think this goes to 6 games. And if the Heat lose that game, it could be very interesting. Oh, man, if the Heat do not get it done in the next 2 games and it's a game 7 in Boston, that is no good for them. Boston will make history then, I'm pretty sure. They do not want to mess around with that. I know Spoelstra doesn't. And Jimmy and Kyle would be smart not to let it get that far. They need to crush the Celtics on their home court in the next game, game 5, and let anywhere getting there. Where they're that. If they can do it in front of the Celtics fans and make them look all crazy in the pictures behind them, that would be fantastic. If it does occur that the Celtics win one more, they definitely need to take care of it in game 6. Because if it goes back to game 7, they're done. They're toast. And I can't have the Celtics make history by coming back from 0-3 and in the conference finals. That's never ever been done. And then they're going to play this Nuggets in the finals. And I don't trust the referees in the NBA to not try and railroad the Celtics to winning a championship in the year that Bill Russell passed. So yeah, I don't like this. He just closed the door on them, please. You should have done it last night, but you felt like toying with them a little bit. I could tell you're kind of like having fun with them. You guys didn't play that well last night, that's for sure. Miami had played just a little bit better. They probably would have won last night. But I don't know. They do have a chance just because the NBA would love for this story to happen. But I don't really think they do if Eric Spoelstra is a good coach. If Eric Spoelstra is a good coach and not like Doc Rivers, he will not cough up this and choke. No, he won't. He will make sure he doesn't because he doesn't want it to be on his coaching record that he was up 3-0 over the Boston Celtics and let them come back and win a series. No, he does not want that on his record, and he will not let that happen, I'm pretty sure. Name is saying, MSG, I think Boston has a minus 2.65% chance to win. That sounds about right. That sounds about right, Nameless. That does sound about right. Sue's saying, hey, MSJ, I don't think Celtics have a chance to win. I think Heat have the series. Yeah, I think Sue's right. I think it's just historically, it's just really, really hard to win 4 in a row like that, especially when a team beats you 2 games on your home court to start the series. So, yeah, I don't think so. Seymour's saying what I think, F Boston. That's pretty much where I'm at, too. Mike's saying wild conspiracy theory stuff, but maybe Ibaka is the new Jamal McGlure replacement, like our new center coach. Roles need to be filled if we're letting go of people. I don't think Jamal's gone, though. I think Jamal's going to continue to do what he's doing, and we'll just have both. I mean, seriously, I don't think Jamal's going anywhere. He's not really a part of the staff in the way that like would be part of what Nick was doing and stuff like that. He's really more like I've described. He's more practice coach, big man for the big guys on our team to really practice like big man moves against the defense and a big body, like just standing up and going at him. And then he's a culture guy and behind the scenes, somebody you can come talk to because he's an old pro. And then his connection with Toronto. He's from Toronto. He's a Toronto guy. There's just too much there. And he survived other like coaching changes. He survived like two or three of them. I really do believe he showed up like around Sam Mitchell. So it's like he's been a part of our team when we switched from Sam Mitchell to Dwayne Casey to Nick Nurse. So I don't see why he wouldn't just survive still. It's just his role may be changing. His title may just be changing, but he's still going to be a part of the Raptors. Trust me. McGlure, even if Ibaka may come in, I think he can still play. I think he will be on the roster. I don't think he'll be a coach. Randolph saying, blessings, beloved Raptor Freaks, most informative gang. Last night's loss was about the NBA stretching things out, or we would have been a week without games. That's a little bit true, too. I could see that, Randolph, because seriously, there's a lot of time between the next series because if they had both been sweeps, they don't have anything in there because the arenas are already set up a certain way with the scheduling, with other events and things going on that there would be a little bit of a dead time, and it could kind of let a lull in between like being excited about the playoffs because people are like, oh, the game, there's no game, and then they get into something else like the Stanley Cup playoffs or something, or baseball season. So I could see this, Randolph. I could believe this, that they kind of need a little bit of basketball to go on because, and especially if it turns into being Miami and Denver, some people just turn it off or something like that. I don't know. That's what they're trying to say, that everybody's going to stop watching when the Lakers and the Celtics are out. It's so dumb. Namus is saying they need to give Ibaka the old ambiguous special advisor position with the Raptors. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what Tim Duncan's role is with the Spurs. It could be any level like this. If he's on the roster and he's a player that can be played in the game, that's great. I don't have a problem with that. Some people may have a problem with that because it's taking up a roster spot, but I don't. I think that he's fantastic. And if he's traveling with the team, he's a part of the team, he can maybe be more effective in the leadership stuff that we've been talking about today. And then if he isn't that, well, okay, maybe he is an assistant coach under the new regime with the new head coach coming in. Maybe they find it. You know what? You'd be a great assistant coach on this team, Serge Ibaka. If not, then yes, a special consultant, a special advisor, somebody who is getting money from the team to hang out and help with them, but has no responsibilities to travel with the team or have to be with the team 24/7. Just somebody who kind of touch bases with them when they're around Toronto or something like that. I don't know, whatever fits and works. I just want a spot for him around the Raptors franchise. It'd be awesome. It'd be very good. Monique is saying, let's see. Glad Monty is still on the Raptors radar. Yeah, we're hearing. All right, there was some information yesterday from Grange that came out about who the Raptors are looking at the most closely. And let me let me bring it up so I can read it exactly, because there is a lot of information in this article by Michael Grange that came out yesterday on Sportsnet. Hang on. Where is that article? Okay. Now, basically, what Grange is saying is that we may be waiting to see who gets fired still, because, and also we may be waiting partly because we're very interested in some of the assistants that are still coaching. And the two assistants I'm talking about are Chris Quinn of the Miami Heat and David Edelman of the Denver Nuggets. That in some ways, Grange is speculating that we're waiting and taking our time partly because we want to wait for them to be done. And then we may actually really seriously talk to Edelman or to Chris Quinn. So that is part of what he's saying. He's also saying that we have been very impressed with certain people who have come in and interviewed. And they were basically, they're saying that Steve Nash came in this week and he totally knocked their socks off. That he's super, super impressed, Masai and Bobby. And apparently he came off as he has an axe to grind that he wants to prove that he can be a good coach in the NBA. He's pissed off about the Brooklyn thing still, and that he would like another chance. Well, he has a lot of gumption to prove everybody that he can still be a good coach. So that is very interesting to me. Like hearing that as the response to Nash's interview from Masai and Bobby is saying they're very impressed with what he had to say, his ideas, and then also he is biting at the chomp, is how they described, to come back and show that he can be a good NBA coach. That is very interesting. In fact, that's not exactly what I thought was going on with Steve Nash. That he is actually very much wanting, he's motivated to prove people wrong. In some ways, I like that. In some ways, I got to open my mind to the possibilities of Steve Nash if he's really got a chip on his shoulder. That could be very interesting. Now, if he's a good coach or not, we still don't know. And that may be the gamble we don't want to take. But he did impress Masai and Bobby apparently, and they're basically doing second interviews. And Grange is saying there are certain people who've come back for second interviews. He's saying that Jordy Fernandez is one of them. Who are the other people? He said that they came back for second interviews. Hang on, there's a whole list of different people that he has on here that they feel real high. They're actually really impressed with JJ Redick also, apparently. Now they're saying that Becky Hammond did not formally interview with us. That they maybe talked on the phone a little bit, but she didn't actually do a formal interview with us. And that honestly, she's not in the running at this point at all. She's already busy with her season and stuff. So I don't think she's in the running. Monty Williams is definitely on our radar, as Monique said, and Adrian Griffin is still an option that is still involved in our search. So Adrian Griffin, Monty Williams, JJ Redick, Steve Nash, Jordy Fernandez, Chris Quinn, David Edelman. These are all names that are more in the search at this point, as far as things as being realistic. So we're really starting to get to see kind of where they're at with certain people. If there's some sort of new name that comes into the whole thing, well, then we'll have to see. But at this point, because of what Grange is saying from yesterday, I have updated the head coach spreadsheet. Let me put the link in the chat real quick, and you guys can look at it again. And I basically put in yellow on their names the guys that they're kind of like have said these are people we're really seriously considering and have done well or have like second interviews. So the yellow boxes are right now Kenny Atkinson. That's right. They are looking more seriously at Kenny Atkinson, Jordy Fernandez, Steve Nash, Darko Rajakovic has gotten a second interview with the Raptors, JJ Redick. Those are the five names. Those are five names that they have been impressed with or given a second interview, basically. My five names to choose from that I like the best are still Mike Budenholzer, Adrian Griffin, Sergio, Jerry Stackhouse, and Monty Williams. But yeah, the coaching search is intensifying. And tomorrow, we're going to talk a little bit more about it in depth about Steve Nash and stuff like that. So very, very interesting. Sue saying in the pressers, I always find Joe Mazzulla very defensive or seems put out about being there or something. Does anyone else find something off about his pressers? Hey, Lex, can you take me off of slow mode? Oh, you know what happened, Sue? I cut down on my mods. Like I really only put the mods on for people that are here every day. And then the other thing is I've realized that my if I don't have some people on slow mode, my streams have been way too long lately. Like I'm actually asking people not to put any comments on after 10:30, an hour in, because I've been going like 2 to 3 hours and it's the middle of summer and it's just ridiculous. My parents are here in town. And I have to go. Actually, my father's going to be here again in a little bit. And I just really want to make sure I slow down on like too many comments. And I realized when I gave everybody wrenches, there's no limit on y'all. And y'all were just filling it up so crazy. I couldn't get off the stream and go do things that I have to do afterwards. So it's really kind of trying to limit things. I don't want like ongoing conversations for too long, just because my times have been way too long for how much I have really to cover. Like I shouldn't be doing almost 3 hours in the summer. It's crazy. So I'm really trying to cut down my time. And I took some of the mods away from people that just aren't here every day. And that's why you don't have a wrench right now, Sue. I kind of cut down on my mods. I have a very select few that are like here every single day, and I've had them on there. I'm even take some of y'all's wrenches away that have them right now, just because if we're not having problems with comments not getting seen, I have to cut down my time. That's basically what I'm trying to do. Let's see. MSJ saying at Nameless Sue, I say the Celtics have a chance, and now they think they can win, but I think it will come down to Game 6, and that the Heat will likely take that one. If it goes to 7, who knows? Yeah, if they can't do it in Boston in Games 5, they better do it in Game 6. They do not want to see a Game 7. That would be really bad, really, really, really bad. Nameless is saying Trae Young to Toronto. I don't want that. He's not on my list. He's not efficient. He's a very high volume shooter that doesn't score in the kind of a way that I'd like to if he's going to take that many shots. He's not the kind of player I like. No, I don't. Let's see. Infamous saying, has Nurse put out a statement yet regarding the team? No, he hasn't. No, he hasn't. We'll see if he gets hired by somebody else and then he says something to Toronto. But that's his last chance on that. He may not do it ever, and it is whatever. I'm starting to let go on that whole gripe about that. In some ways, I don't care at this point. It is him. Well, he's going to do whatever he's going to do. Mike's saying player leaders have a hard time when slumping. It takes a non-player voice to be the message bringer when the team isn't playing well. Young guys get more emotional about things. Head coach hardness. Then maybe that may be the reason why Serge shouldn't be on the bench and actually just be like not on the team, and he can come in and talk to them that way. We'll have to see. We'll have to see, Mike. Leslie saying moisturize, sundresses, and scarves. Serge Ibaka, original man from the motherland. That's right. I like it. Fun guy saying the point of young players is for the future, bro, and talent and potential. Laugh my ass off. I understand that, fun guy, but what I'm saying is you can get young players that are like 2 years in or in their rookie contract. Sometimes guys get drafted by teams and you can kind of see who they are right away and they can take the gamble. Well, maybe they don't fit exactly with the team that they're on and they got to move. Like somebody like Bones. Bones was on the Nuggets and he didn't fit there and they got rid of him and he went to the Clippers. That's what I'm saying. You can get guys that way, that you don't have to get the investment right away. I really don't believe in like everybody overvaluing the rookies and the draft picks and all that. I'm really anti this at this point. In fact, I think that that's part of the reason why so many teams are shitty, is because we've really overvalued draft picks and young players on our teams. And we need to get older with our average age on NBA teams. That, in some ways, these young guys need to go through the hard knocks, and they're not, and they're just soft, and they're idiots. I'd much rather get vets at this point. And that's what I'm learning from this playoff. Jimmy Butler, people like that. I want more established dudes on our team. I don't want to be a young team. I think young teams in some ways are not going to do anything. They have no way of doing stuff. But I understand you got to have replenish and keep guys coming in. Well, you keep a couple coming in, but you don't overdo it. You don't cast a wide net and bring in a bunch. You have like people like Koloko and Scotty and just a few projects that you're really working on and really concentrating on. Because sometimes if you have too many of them, you get into weird situations where you have two really good guys that are on the same year. And now you have to make a tough decision and you invested resources in both of them. Well, you're going to lose half of the resources you invest in one of them because you can't keep both of them because you can't afford it. It's stuff like that. I see all kinds of problems Oklahoma City is going to have because of their strategy of how they do things. And they're never, ever going to get good. They're just going to continue to get pretty good players, and then they're going to leave over and over again. And they're never going to get very far anywhere in the playoffs. Oklahoma City. Seriously. And I'm going to tell you right now, Chet Holmgren is Victor Wembanyama on Wish. That's right. Victor is way stronger than Chet, and he's going to show a durability. Meanwhile, Chet is going to be injured all the time. Trust me. He's going to be injured all the time. He already missed his rookie season. It's going to be very interesting to see. Fun guy saying, I would absolutely be shocked if Fred left us. In fact, I have it like as like a generous 10% chance. No way in hell he walks, our front office lets him walk. Fred's like the last guy I expect on our way out. I hope you're right, and I want you to be right, fun guy. I love Fred. I want Fred to stay in Toronto. But there's weird things happening right now. There's very weird things. There's other teams that are getting money together. They're going to go for a run at him. Phoenix, Orlando, Chicago. These teams all have situations where they could really lure Fred away by paying him just more than what Masai wants to pay him. And that's what I'm really worried about. In fact, if I know it'll be a sign and trade and we will get something in return, but I do think he's going to leave this summer. I really, really do. There's a weird feeling I have at this point with him, and I hate it. I want him to stay. And if I'm wrong, I'll be jubilant and I will celebrate and I'll be so happy. But I'm going by vibes and how things feel right now. And I think Fred is on his way out. Logical saying the tightness of Masai and Fred during the end. I don't see him leaving this summer. I believe Fred pushed for the harder coach. He was under a really hard coach in Wichita and has been talking about it before. Yeah. I mean, listen, if this works out, great. I'm all for it. I've stood up for Fred, and he's been one of my favorite players this past year and talked him up a lot in his defense. I'm just getting ready for to not be let down. Like seriously, if I hear that he's going to another team, I'm softening the blow early. Now I can't lose because if I soften the blow now and I'm ready for it, I'm kind of like, okay, yeah, the writing's on the wall. But then I'm pleasantly surprised and he doesn't leave. Well, then I'm okay, and I'm like, yes, he's still here. So it's kind of like I'm getting ready for the very possibility that he could be leaving and how sad I might feel about it in some ways. Cool Cat saying we need to keep at least one of our championship players on the roster. Pascal must be kept so he can pass on the knowledge and experience. Can't blame Fred for wanting a max contract in his career. Yeah. Yeah, and I worry about like what people have said. It's like you invest too much money in Fred and there's any kind of drop off in his game in the next couple of years, we don't want to be in that position. And that may be part of the reasoning and decision making with what happens with Fred is that Bobby and Masai realize the threat of his play dropping off with the huge payday. It's not that he's not going to try or play hard. It's just that he may not be the best, like getting better and better as time goes on. In some ways, we've seen a little bit of that seeming like that. In some ways, we could see him drop off. He's not like Lowry and certain players that he may not be able to play until he's 37 or something like that. It may be that Fred may be playing till like 34 or something. I don't know. I'm speculating here, of course. Trevor's here. Good to see Trevor. Boston just got lucky last night, but it's not going to be like that anymore for them. It will be the end for them, game 5 or 6. I hope so too. Yeah, I don't know if they got lucky. I think that Miami had a dud game finally. They had been very hot recently, and they hadn't had very many bad games. In fact, it's weird. Jimmy has not been as up as he has been the last 2 games. The last game, it was really those other guys that won the game, Caleb Martin and all them. And now last night, Jimmy wasn't really the same still. So I'm a little worried about Jimmy Butler. He needs to turn it on and just get them done and get them out of there. Mike's saying, I know Jamal's history with us, but he's had moments where maybe the players feel he's hurt things by talking trash to Trey, etc. Could be something that he is looked at and changed. I don't know. That's my thought. You might be right. We did talk about this a little bit where like him talking trash to Trey Young may have antagonized him and like poked the bear in a similar way that Dylan Brooks did with LeBron or Grant Williams did with Jimmy Butler. I get that. But, he's been like this the whole time and he's been around the championship and all the different eras and stuff like that. And he kind of knows what he's doing, but he is kind of a trash talker. I could see that maybe. We'll just have to see how it goes. I'm pretty sure he'll be involved with the Raptors in some capacity. But we don't know what that job title will be. I'm pretty sure he will be. Infamous is saying, let's see, clutch sports plan worked. Nurse value has never been so high. He's completely in the driver's seat. Yeah. See, that's the selfishness of it all. That was the ego of Nick Nurse and Clutch feeding his ego and saying you can go get this, and they've turned out to be right. I won't disagree with what Infamous is saying here. In some ways, Nick Nurse is the belle of the ball in this coach search right now. And we started all by firing him, but we had to because he's turned into that guy. Fun Guy saying, unfortunately, that's how it is, bro. This might be the lowest finals viewership in NBA history. People are just more drawn to the norm and famous stars and storylines, etc. You know what it is? They're conditioned by ESPN's bullshit. And JJ Redick called them out on it. Listen, there are 30 teams in this league. There are 450 players in this league. The fact that Jokic isn't more known and more put on blast and have more respect and treated like a golden boy really shows the fallacy of the NBA. and rewarding the guys who deserve to get the spotlight. And Jamal Murray's another case of it. So yeah, I don't buy this. It's just that the people have been conditioned by the tabloid way that ESPN overcovers the Celtics and the Lakers to believe that this is how it should be. And I don't think this is going to be true. I think that they'll be fine. Everybody tried to say our finals was not watched very much. It's just another way they throw shade on lesser teams in the league as far as they don't have big markets or stuff like that and try and say this, but it's bullshit. It's absolute bullshit. In fact, most of the fans in the NBA like rooting for underdogs. That they're not going to be rooting for their own team. You think they want to root for the Lakers or Celtics? No, they don't. They're just like us. They want to root for a team that hasn't won before, and they can get really enthusiastic and excited about it. In fact, we found that when we won the championship, a lot of people came out of the woodworks and supported the Raptors because they wanted to see us win over the Warriors. So I don't buy this bullshit. And a lot of that is just like conditioning by ESPN and their bullshit like machine of over promoting the Lakers and the Celtics, fun guy. But I think you may be surprised. And I think that they lie. They say that no, nobody watched these finals. That was bullshit. A lot of people watch the Toronto NBA finals, and they will watch the finals this year also. Infamous is saying, let's be honest, players love Toronto. It's the weather they can't stand. Players mention it all the time. Yeah, and the confusing things with the money and switching things around, stuff like that. Yeah, they love Toronto. They love being here. Scotty's back in Toronto right now. I love seeing that. And yeah, this is true. People like being here in Toronto. And, hey, hopefully better players and a good coach come to Toronto next. Chris Quinn is extremely appealing. Infamous, you called the reasons the other day. Take my wrench. I'm terrible at extending the stream. I'm cool with it, Lex. All right, I'm going to take Mike's wrench right now. Remove as standard moderator. I appreciate that, Mike. You volunteering it. I know I gave it to you just that one day because your comments weren't getting through in a weird way. But yeah, no problem, Mike. I appreciate you doing that. And I watched your clip from Saturday on Gary and OG. Good stuff, Mike. I like how you're doubling back and really looking at those end of season interviews and really reading through between the lines with what they're saying. Some of the stuff you were saying about Gary was very interesting. And then, of course, the OG stuff, too. And I love your insight. Like, you really are reading between the lines of what they're saying and trying to help Raptors Nation by explaining it a little bit more clearly, especially the Gary stuff, too. Really, really good work, Mike. And thank you for making that post. Let's see. Mike is, yeah, Chris Quinn would be great. If we want to be more like Miami, hire Chris Quinn. But in some ways, I don't like the hire. I don't like the hire. I don't want to be more like, I don't want Spoelstra's coaching tree coaching us. In some ways, I don't like that. I really don't. So in some ways, I don't want Chris Quinn. You guys may be more high on him than I am. I'm not. I'm not exactly a high on him. Fun guy saying, yes, I agree. Only young guys franchises should be worried about are actual investments and should be limited and only franchise players. Too many young and not good. Yeah. And they think that they're so good and they're not. And they like really haven't proven anything yet. And I'm sick of those kind of players. I want dudes that have had to, like Jeff Doughton, that have had to go a hard route and are really like pushing it and they've earned it. That's what I'm saying. Too many of these guys that come in, they coast and they just like they really just think they like give it everything given to them. And that's not how the NBA used to be. That may be part of the biggest problem with the NBA is everybody's taking things just given and nothing's earned anymore in the NBA. It's crazy. Monique's saying, good to be back. Haven't been myself, but still putting in work. W stream, Lex, all around. Keep at it. Monique, whatever's going on with you, I hope you're feeling okay and all right. Listen, I always have support for you and love. And you know what? Listen, we're always here for you. And, you know, if you can't make it every day, I understand that. It is a grind. Trust me having to work around this stream every single day can be a grind and annoying at times. I'm not going to lie. But I'm glad I do it and I want to keep it up. And that's really important also. So there may be days where I'm like, in some ways I'm not, I don't really feel like doing a stream, but I'm like, I'm going to do a stream no matter what. And I'll make sure I get it done. Yeah. But yeah, I want you to be happy and have good things going for you, Monique, no matter what. I'm always thinking about you. Mike's saying, fair, Lex. I do that with wins and losses. Okay. All right. And Infamous is saying, I like Amy. Glad to hear she will be working with the CBL. Can she coach us as well? That would be interesting. What if Masai and Bobby have an interview with Amy Audibert to be our next coach of the Raptors? That is a very interesting and intriguing kind of proposition, infamous for sure. Ahmet the Goat's here. Good to see Ahmet. We missed you yesterday for trivia, Ahmet, but good to see you today. Yo, happy Wednesday, y'all. I'm waiting for the morning I hear that the Raptors are trading Siakam for the third pick, Anthony Simons and Nasir Little. I would love to see a Scoot and Barnes duo. Ooh, we've talked about this a bit. And I hate this deal. I do not want to go anywhere near the third pick in this draft. Fuck that draft pick. That is a really bad draft pick to take. Seriously. And I'm going to explain why. Because the Charlotte Hornets are probably going to take Scoot Henderson at number 2. And then Brandon Miller will be the number 1 prospect for number 3. And I don't want to go anywhere near that accessory to murder from Alabama. So, yeah, the chances of, I don't like the third pick. Fuck that pick. Let's just stay at 13. And I don't want to trade Siakam for that package either. I like Simons. Don't get me wrong. He's fantastic. But no, not for me. I'm not for this deal at all. You may be all about it, Amit, but not me. I do not. I think we talked a lot about how Siakam's looking like he is the franchise player, and he's safe. He's not going to get moved this summer. There's different things that have shown us that the retainment of Rico Hines, that Jakob Poeltl is probably going to re-sign with us. We got Christian Koloko from Cameroon. Siakam seems like he's not going anywhere. If he's going to get traded, I'd be very shocked this summer. I'll be very, very shocked. He seems like one of the guys like Scotty that is absolutely safe and will be a part of our future. And OG's another one. OG, Scotty, and Pascal are looking like the 3 amigos that they aren't going to be going anywhere. But the other guys, Fred and Gary, they could very well not be a Raptor next year, is the way it's looking right now. I hate that trade. I just have to be completely honest on it. I hate that trade so much. And I'm not about it. Siakam's worth more than all that. Seriously. And some people may disagree with me, but I believe it. Let's see. All right. G saying, apparently Raptors did a second interview with Jordy, Darko, and Atkinson. Yeah, that's why I put them in yellow, because it kind of signifies that they're in another level. And yeah, Darko's interesting. We haven't talked about Darko very much. He is from Europe, and but he's a very good communicator, and he really knows his X's and O's. He's kind of a weird candidate because, in some ways he's very unknown to me. But 44 years old, he's been an assistant coach in the NBA for 9 years under Taylor Jenkins in Memphis. He did not play NBA basketball, and he has not won anything. But one of his projects that he developed was Victor Oladipo. So Darko Radjakovic is somebody that we may need to talk about a little bit more, since his name has come back up in the second interviews. And so, yeah, there we go. Fun guy saying, no way. Our finals got to be up there and most watched ever. 3-peating Quest Warriors against Kawhi and Team Up North. The hype was crazy real back then. I still remember without bias the buzz. Well, we did really good here in Canada. But in the States, they're trying to say that the viewership for our finals was not very high. Yikes and yikes and yikes. Leslie's saying, I love what JJ said yesterday. He put ESPN on blast. They never talk about smaller market teams unless they play against the Lakers, Knicks, Boston, and Philly. Yep. And yep. And yep. Exactly. In fact, ESPN is part of the reason why the NBA product sucks so bad. In some ways, they really don't market the league like they used to. It was a lot more equal in like treatment, like for the teams like the Mavs and the Nuggets and the Pacers and the Bucks. They got more of a fair shake and things in a certain way back in the way that the NBA was marketed. Now it's so heavy on just 4 or 5 teams. It's disgusting. And these teams don't even have to be good. That's the sad thing. They could be like the Lakers the last couple of years, and they just get crammed down our throats. And that's part of the problem, is that's the way it's built to be like that. And that's why everybody says, oh, nobody will watch. It's because y'all are trained by ESPN to only care about those certain teams. And that's your own damn fault, seriously. But yeah, I love what JJ said. He's exactly right. He's been on point with a lot of things he said. Now, he said something yesterday that was kind of mean. To Stephen A. Smith. He said, with all due respect, playing 3 games at whatever university you played at, Stephen A. Smith is not really know about basketball or being a pro. And ooh, when he said it, I was like, damn, that cuts real deep. That's really mean. And then, but like, also it's very true. But also like he had to kind of walk it back a little bit because he did really hurt Stephen A's feelings in that moment. Holy crap. Just pointing that out like that was really, really like rude in a way. Infamous is saying Portland will not be traded. Pascal will not be traded to Portland. Simon's overrated. He plays zero defense. Yeah, I've really liked Anthony Simons over the last couple years. But hey, maybe there is a lack of defense in his game. Portland has some issues out there. And Simons is a good, talented young player. In some ways, he reminds me of Maxi. And it was like, could we get another Maxi like Simons is kind of like a Maxi? But I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to deal with Portland right now. I really don't. I really, really don't. I don't want that third pick. And that's the only thing they're trying to unload right now. If they were talking about Shaden Sharp, maybe I'd want to deal with them. But otherwise, I don't want their draft pick. In fact, there's a reason why they're trying to trade their third pick right now. Trust me. It's other than just trying to line up with Dame Lillard's career and his timeline. There's a reason they're trying to trade that draft pick because that third pick in this draft is not that good. Trust me. And I'm not about taking it on for Pascal. That's crazy to me. That is crazy. G saying Mitchell got Laurie Markkinen, All-Star, Colin Sexton, Oche, and 3 protected first-round picks, 82 and 2 pick swaps. That Portland trade is not enough, even if people don't view Pascal as Mitchell. Yeah, there you go. G saying what they had to do to get Mitchell for Cleveland. We got to they really better stack the table because Siakam, don't you undercut or undervalue who we got. He is very good, and you better come correct with your price. That's right. Fun guy saying, but the moves with Rico and all these guys were off season before a horrible season. After this year, all that doesn't matter now. Siakam is very much movable, and I really see him potentially gone now. Yeah, but once again, I'm reading the writing on the wall. That's the only thing I can do at this point. I'm paying real close attention to what they're saying and the moves and how these guys are acting. And Siakam is acting like he's a Raptor, and he's cool. He's good. And Fred is not. Fred is acting like he's very much out there and he's available, and he could be going anywhere. Gary, same thing as Fred. Now, the other guy, Scotty, obviously is very much acting like a Raptor and being a Raptor because he is going to be a Raptor. That's what I'm saying. I don't know. Siakam could be movable. And Masai said, like, Scotty's not moving and OG's not moving. He said those two names. He said he's not going to trade OG and he's not going to trade Scotty. So he didn't say Siakam, but everything's pointing to Siakam is not moving either, is what it seems like. Amit saying, what is wrong with Miller? He is a scorer. Him and Barnes would also be perfect because Brandon Miller is a knucklehead who was an accessory to murder, and he's going to have legal trouble very soon. It could very well be like a Miles Bridges, and this is part of the reason why Charlotte doesn't want him either. They've already got a headache with a guy who's got criminal charges. Now, I know that Miller is not officially charged right now, but this investigation's really fresh, and this shit's just a couple months ago, and he is directly involved in the death of a young woman in Alabama, and nobody's talking about this. So you think that our woke ass culture here in Toronto is going to want him on our team? No. So Brandon Miller will not be drafted by the Raptors by any means. Trust me, because there's too many clouds running around him. And the way he's talking about it to the combine, I read some of the excerpts of what he's saying. It doesn't sound like he's innocent. And it sounds like they're just trying to cover it up and hide it for him, like old school Southern basketball or Southern athletics will do. I know. I went to FSU. They'll cover up shit for football players legally just to keep them all right. They covered up stuff for Peyton Manning to have his whole entire career. He had a whole scandal at Tennessee. Then he would have never been in the NFL if he'd really gotten in trouble for what he did. And that's what I'm saying. I don't go near these kind of toxic players. And Brandon Miller is a toxic player. I can already tell. He hasn't even came in the league. He's an accessory to murder. Yeah, we don't want anything to do with him. I know they've cleared him of all charges, but you got to understand also that's the Alabama justice system, and he's a high-profile college athlete, and they don't want to mess with that. They didn't want to mess with the college team. They were playing games still. And if they had come and arrested him and he wouldn't have been able to play for them in the SEC tournament, yeah, the Alabama boosters and everybody around Tuscaloosa would be going crazy if the police arrested Brandon Miller for his part in that murder of that young woman. So that's what I'm saying. We don't even want to go near this dumpster fire because that fire has not totally been put out and they don't know exactly everything. Now they're saying he's not charged with anything, But the implications and all this kind of stuff is like, what is he run around like John Morant? Do we want a John Morant on our team that is, hey, I'll give you my gun so you can, okay, yeah, I'm gonna go shoot my girlfriend? Is basically what happened there. So it's like, ooh, no, no, and no, Brandon Miller. That's a big, big no on him. I'm sorry. The optics of the whole thing look awful. And I know the state of Alabama, their police are covering up for him so that they can allow him to continue and make the University of Alabama look good instead of bad. So, oh man, I know how college sports works in the South. Trust me. FSU covered up so much shit. You could talk about Jameis Winston and what he did when he was a quarterback at FSU and how they had to try to cover up the thing that happened with him and that young lady. That's what I'm saying. It's seedy. So any way they could do to protect him in this situation, they would. And yeah, they didn't treat him the same way they would any other young black man in Alabama. Trust me. No, they did not. Let's see. Infamous is saying, I will keep saying it. Chris Quinn is the answer. I'm going to remember Infamous was big on Chris Quinn. And we'll see if that happens a certain way. Well, so be it. I mean, I'm open to the idea of it. Like I said, I don't necessarily want a Spoelstra disciple, though. Monique is saying, Lex, WNBA game. I did go just a last minute ticket. Didn't tell anyone. Okay, so you were at the WNBA game. I asked you that if you had went. You just didn't tell us the day after. Yeah, it was a good game. I'm really glad that I went too at the last minute. I got a $40 ticket in the 100 section right down by the court, and that was awesome. I loved it. Fun guy saying, that's why I love Scotty so much. His work ethic is unbelievable since high school, dreads, all the way to a high school prospect, and then fourth, and then rookie of the year, while Nurse tried burning down his legs with minutes. Yeah, Scotty's just a hard worker. He's doing things right. He's learning the fundamentals. He's doing it the right way. And that's why I like him. He's not the common, like normal youngster coming up. He really does have good schooling. And you can see it in the way he plays. The fundamentals are part of the reason why he's so good down around the paint in the low post. That's all fundamentals and building off of fundamentals. And Scotty's a good fundamental player. And not every player who's coming up these days is. And that's what I warn people about with this. Amit saying true could also be like when we traded Terrence Davis for a second. I don't know, but I have trust in Masai and Bobby. I don't know who even the fourth prospect is after that. Like they're not even talking about who would be. Like, think about it this way. Victor's going to the Spurs, obviously. Then if the Portland Trailblazers take Scoot, and if the Charlotte Hornets take Scoot, and then Portland's picking at third, and they don't want to take Brandon Miller, who's the next name on the list? I'm not even hearing who that is. So I don't know. Maybe I should know. But I'm like, that's what I'm saying. I don't mind just staying where we are. I don't really care about moving up to like 8th or 9th or 6th. I just want to pick where we are. In fact, I want to, I don't know. Anyway, they're going to do what they're going to do either way. All right, Mike, W Stream. Thank you. I appreciate that. All right, just real quick recap. Celtics stopped the sweep by stopping the Miami Heat last night, and they did a good job. Good job by them. Oh, also, I want to talk about this real quick. Ron Harper Jr. is in a Twitter war with a guy who used to coach in college basketball and play in college basketball named Dan Dakich. He's like a personality now. He was a part of Indiana University with Bobby Knight. He was assistant coach, and he played for him too. And he actually played against Ron's dad in college. And there's a real bunch of shit talk going on right now. Basically, Ron Harper is lamenting the whole thing that happened with the Rutgers player that went into the NIL portal to take money and left Rutgers University. And it's really, they're in a bad place because they can't replace them because everything's kind of already set up for next year. And they just lost their number one player. And now they're not going to be very good next year. And basically, Dan Dakich is telling Ron Harper to stop whining and stop being a baby about it. Oh, boo hoo hoo. And he's talking trash directly to Ron Harper Jr. And Ron Harper's talking trash back to him. And it's crazy. He's like, it sounds like he wants to kick the old man's ass. He's even putting like posts from SpongeBob with like, what does he say? He's like, oh, yeah, I thought I told you, old man, to shut up or something like that. So there's a lot of trash talk going on between Ron Harper Jr. and this sports personality, Dan Dakich. The Dan Dakich guy sounds like an idiot. He's even like said that, what is wrong with you, Ron? Are you smoking too much weed? That's how rude this guy's being towards our rookie from last year, Ron Harper Jr. So screw you, Dan Dakich, you asshole. Yeah, that's bullshit. All right, let's see. Fun guy saying Miller really, really talented though, and that wouldn't have close street friends in Toronto. That would be his old life. He's got superstar potential. Watch him. He could even play center for us. I don't want him. I don't care. I'm at the point where listen, I may be ahead of my time than the rest of the NBA. I don't want knuckleheads anymore. I don't care how talented you are. You could be the most talented player in the world. If you have baggage, if you have other problems, we see what it gets you. You can get the highest levels in the NBA, and then everything falls apart because you're not dependable. That's the thing. You look at James Harden, how he disappears. You see how Ja Morant is an idiot. And that's what I'm saying. People who have poor judgment, I don't want on this team. I'm serious. Brandon Miller has poor judgment. And I don't care how talented he is. He can make a poor decision later on at a crucial time when we're in a playoff run, and it will hurt us. And that's what I'm starting to think about with players on our team in the NBA is that this is what a lot of teams are going to start thinking about. Are these people going to blow up when it really matters, when we're really far in? Are they going to be like DeAndre Ayton, and check out? Are they going to be like James Harden and disappear when we need them the most? Are they going to be like Ja Morant and catch stupid charges or get in trouble as a sideshow on the side, distraction, and then even really kind of hurt us really bad in the playoffs also because of it? That's why I want to just steer clear of these guys. I don't care how talented they are anymore. I want good citizens that are good guys, and they will be talented also to the degree and more dependable. That's just where I'm at. Too many teams are getting burned by flaky, stupid, toxic. And I just don't want to even bring it here, is what I'm saying. Yeah. Let's see. Cam Whitmore, Jures, Walker, Amon, and Oscar Thompson. Yeah, the Thompson twins. Grady Dick. Okay, yeah, those are the next couple of prospects. I've heard a lot about these Thompson twins. They're interesting and intriguing in some ways. We'll have to see. All right, let me just wrap up here real quick. I talked about the Ron Harper thing just now. Check your WNBA fantasy league and set your lineups. If you got a team in the league, there's stuff coming up, and you need to make sure you get your players in. That's right. Mike's saying it's hard to plan around players that aren't stable. That's exactly right. And you don't want it to, like, it all blows up in your face at the worst possible time because you work so hard the whole entire season. And then you're at some point where you got to depend on these guys, and they suck. Julius Randle, DeAndre Ayton, James Harden. These are people that I'm talking about right there. All right, y'all. Thanks for watching me today. Tomorrow, Thursday Think Tank, we're going to go more in depth on Steve Nash, and we're going to talk way more about the fit with him possibly as our coach, good and bad, and whether we kind of like it or not. Let's think about this, ponder it for today and tomorrow. Come back and see me 9:30 a.m. and we'll talk about Steve Nash and him possibly being a coach for the Raptors. Would that work? Would it be a good idea or not? I like what I heard as far as he impressed them, and he is got the gumption. He does have the gumption. I wasn't sure if he had that fire in his heart to want to coach still, but it sounds like he does. And the competitor in him wants to prove people wrong for what happened in Brooklyn. That is intriguing to me. I'm not going to lie. If Steve Nash has that competitive spirit about proving some people wrong, well, maybe he is a good coach for us. We'll have to see. All right, y'all. Thanks for watching me. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share. And thanks for helping me keep my time down under an hour and a half. I appreciate it. Even if we didn't totally follow the rule, it's fine. I don't mind if you guys comment a little bit leading up to things. It's all great. Thank you. Thank you, Isaac. Yeah, I'm going to tell him that. He's going to be showing up here soon. I got to go do a bunch of yard work. I'll be cutting down trees and hauling things and cutting grass and doing all that kind of stuff, helping him out on the property out north of town. All right, y'all. Thanks again, and I'll see y'all tomorrow. Let's go Raptors.